Hello everyone, welcome back to another brand new video, and yet again today we will be talking about My Hero Academia. More specifically, the story arcs of MHA, as I will be ranking them on a tier list today. As you can see, the tier list is of my color rankings, purple to red, which I'll explain just in a second. But I will be ranking every single story arc on the tier list today, and then once they are all in their tiers, I will, of course, move them around and have a full definitive ranking by the end of the video. So, without further ado, let's just jump into things with me explaining the tiers. Purple, 10 out of 10, peak fiction. This is reserved for stuff that is absolutely 10 out of 10, no notes. This is some of my favorite stuff of all time. Blue is amazing, upper echelon material. Very, very minuscule problems. Pretty much nitpicking is the only thing that is going to knock it down. Cyan is pretty good, very enjoyable. This is your solid, above good stuff. And green is good, enjoyable, but it has issues. Yellow is mid, complete average. Orange is bad, and red is utter garbage. Spoiler alert, there's no garbage on this list because MHA is not garbage. MHA is amazing. Alright, let's jump into this video. The introductory arc of MHA, the entrance exam arc, is going to get a blue from me. I absolutely love the introductory arc of MHA, and this of course covers the first couple of episodes, all of which until Deku gets into school. This covers him in like regular school where he meets All Might for the first time, and then he saves Bakugo, or he inspires All Might to save Bakugo. And we get the image that's in the tier right now where you too can be a hero, one of the best moments of the entire show, and one of my favorite episodes, an episode that I would give a purple. The arc obviously ends with him getting into UA, passing the exam, him and Uraraka like save each other, and I forget exactly how it goes down, but it's a solid arc. I love the intro to MHA. It couldn't have been done any better. It's not 10 out of 10 perfect because of like just minuscule issues all around, but overall, the intro to MHA is awesome. Next up on the list, the second arc in MHA is the Quirk Apprehension Test, and this is going to go in yellow. It's mid. And this is not because the Quirk Apprehension Test arc is bad. It's pretty much just because it's not an arc. It's literally an episode long of the students just testing out their quirks, and then that's it. So, like, this episode is probably like a green or a cyan. It's a completely good episode, but the fact of rating this as an arc, it just doesn't compare to actual episode long story arcs. So as an arc, the Quirk Apprehension Test is mid. Then we have the Battle Trial arc, and I'm going to give this a good. Battle Trial arc is good, yeah, because it's in green, but it's another one of those things where looking at the Battle Trial arc as an arc kind of bumps it down the tier list, where Deku versus Kacchan, that episode is probably like a blue for me. But that's pretty much it. We do like flash forward, we see Shoto like completely freezing the entire building, but it's really just focused on Deku, Kacchan, Ida, and Ochako's round, and you don't really get anything else. If Quirk Apprehension Test and Battle Trial arc were merged, it'd probably be a cyan, because these two should not be their own separate arcs. They're basically only like, 3 or 4 episodes combined together, so it should have been its own thing, so that's why it is where it is. Moving on to USJ, which is actually a proper story arc, but I'm also going to give it a green, because USJ, it's good, but I have issues. I don't think USJ is paced very well. I also just think that until All Might gets there, it's kind of sleepy. You're more meeting new characters, like you meet Froppy and Mineta because Deku's stranded with them. You get stuff where like Momo, Jiro, and Kaminari are doing their own thing. Bakugo is with Shoto, I think, or Bakugo's with Kirishima. But still, this is a thing where you're pretty much just meeting the kids, the class for the first time. And until All Might gets there, it's completely good. But when All Might gets there, it is amazing. All Might, that episode is a blue for me. I love that episode, one of my favorites. And All Might just claims house. He destroys the Nomu and he saves the day. But overall, USJ, if it was paced a little bit better, it'd be higher up. But USJ, and also it's just like it's early days. It's like Shigaraki isn't Shigaraki yet, and you have Kurogiri as like the B tier villain here. So it just didn't quite hit yet. Moving on to season 2, we have the UA Sports Festival. This is an easy blue. UA Sports Festival is an iconic arc, one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic arc of the entire show. So many things here are awesome. And I love how the entire tournament we get to see, and I also love that we get to see every game in depth. It starts with the race that Deku wins, that's like an episode. Then you have 2 episodes dedicated to the cavalry battle, and then you get like 6 or 7 dedicated to the entire tournament, seeing every single matchup, which I think is awesome, and that is more effective at letting us know and meet new characters than USJ was, where we get to learn, like Shoto breaks out here. Bakugo wins the tournament. That's huge for him. We meet Shinso. This arc does a much better job of introducing people and making you care about certain characters. The animation is incredible. The story is incredible, and it obviously sets up for Hero Killer pretty well too. And I didn't even mention Uraraka versus Bakugo, which is a banger episode, along with obviously Shoto Origin. Hero Killer arc up next. Also gonna get a green. I am a bit lower on this arc than most. I think Ida, Deku, and Shoto versus Stain, that episode is pretty good, but another arc that's pretty sleepy. We get the Froppy filler episode in here somewhere. Deku and Gran Torino's dynamic is fun, but you're just not really focusing on any other characters other than Deku here, and Ida, obviously. And I can't remember anything from this arc other than the fact that Deku meets Gran Torino and the Froppy filler episode is in this arc, even though that's not a good thing to be remembering. Overall, when they fight Stain, it's cool. When they're not fighting Stain, I can't remember what's happening. Final Exams. I'm going to give this a cyan. I think Final Exams is pretty good. Another arc where, like the Battle Trial arc, you're doing trials with the kids, but this time we get to see every single exam, so we get to see every single student fight a teacher or a hero and do something cool. And this is, like the sports festival, a easier and better way for us to care and meet new characters and learn about our characters. Like, we get to see Uraraka's crushing on Deku and Aoyama knows about it. You get to see Shoji and Hagakure work together. You get to see Ida and Ojiro work together. Obviously, Bakugo and Deku versus All Might is a great moment. Tokoyami and Froppy defeat one of the teachers. So this does what the Battle Trial wanted to do, and it does it better. So it is obviously above the Battle Trial arc. Moving on to Season 3, we have the Forest Training Camp. Tough. I'm gonna go cyan. And My Hero, the episode My Hero, is a purple for me. One of my favorite episodes of the entire show. Top 5, for sure. Deku versus Muscular, one of the best fights, one of the best moments of the entire show. However, once again, hard to remember a lot of what else is happening. This is our introduction to the League of Villains as we know it. We meet Compress, Spinner, Dabi, Toga, pretty much everyone. Yeah, other than Deku versus Muscular, though, it's hard to remember. Like, I remember Tetsu and Kendo beat Mustard. Bakugo is fighting Moonfish somewhere, but I can't even remember what, like, Dabi and Spinner are doing. I know that this is where Toga meets Ochako for the first time, so it's cyan. It's pretty good. The Forest Training Camp is just a solid arc that sets up for an even better one in the Hideout Raid, which is 10 out of 10. One for All, the best episode of the entire show, in my opinion. Absolute masterpiece. And the 2 other episodes that are part of the Hideout Raid arc are also phenomenal. They're not purple, but that block of episodes is 10 out of 10 peak fiction for me. I could see the argument being made that the Hideout Raid doesn't really work well as its own arc, because I had said previously that stuff like the Battle Trial arc, which is only 2 or 3 episodes long, doesn't really work well as an arc. And the Hideout Raid arc is also like that, where it's only 2 or 3 episodes long. However, so much happens in this 3-episode chunk that it does feel like an arc. All the heroes go out to try and save Bakugo. Deku, Kirishima, Momo, Ida, all the people, and Shoto, who leave class and break the rules to save Bakugo, end up saving him, and then All Might fights All For One, who we meet for the first time during this arc, and loses his powers. So, despite this being a small arc, it has a lot of shit happening, and all of that shit is fucking awesome. So, 10 out of 10, I don't care what you have to say. It is an arc, and it's a badass arc. However, we then move on to the Provisional Hero License Exam, which is fucking boring. This is why Season 3 is one of the most conflicting seasons of MHA for me, because the first half with the Forest Training Camp and Hideout Raid is incredible, but then the entire back half is just this like 12 episode chunk of nothing. Nothing. This is boring. It's not really a great vessel for any character moments. We have like Aoyama and Kaminari getting moments, and that's like it. Besides Bakugo and Shoto losing, which is, I guess, interesting for their characters, them not becoming heroes, but like 12 episodes dedicated to this chunk is brutal pacing. It's very poorly paced. There's like a Momo filler episode in the middle of it too that they added that completely shits on the pacing even more. It's brutal. This is one of the worst arcs, if not the worst, of the entire show. However, we kick things off in Season 4 with the Shie Hasaikai arc, also known as the Overhaul arc, which is a blue. Absolutely amazing. We meet the big three at the end of the Hero License Exam arc, technically, but this is where we get to see them shine. We see Tamaki, Mirio, Nejire, they all get something to do. Nejire doesn't get her own episode for some reason, but Lemillion's episode is a purple, one of my favorites of the entire show. It's awesome. Him saving Eri is epic. Even though people shit on that moment because the animation kind of crumbles, I like the freeze frames. Sue me. Tamaki gets his own episode as well. Kirishima gets his own episode. And then obviously the stretch of 4, like Lemillion, Infinite 100%, Bright Future, and there's another one in there too, are all incredible episodes. And Overhaul is an amazing villain for this arc. We get to see Toga and Twice, League of Villains members with him as well, that make for an interesting dynamic. And this entire arc is just done very well. It's a great start to Season 4. The first half of Season 4 is awesome. Then we get the Remedial Course arc, where Kami, Inasa, Shoto, and Bakugo have to get their licenses. And it's like not an arc. It's the same thing as the Quirk Apprehension Test. This is maybe 2 episodes if we're being generous. I think it's just 1. Why is this an arc? It's completely fine. It's yellow, whatever. School Festival, an arc that I see people shit on, but I'm going to give it a cyan. It pains me to not give this a blue. The episode where they do the performance and they make Eri smile is a blue. Love that episode, and I love that moment. However, as an arc, pacing is it's not great. Deku vs. Gentle is fun, and something that when you watch it for the first time, you might be like, this is filler, this is annoying, boring, whatever, I get it. When you see how important Gentle and Labrava are in the future in Season 7 when they come back and save the day and we see the impact that Deku made on them, it makes this arc age very well. And then, of course, the performance with them making Eri smile. If you just don't like that moment, are you even human? Pro Hero arc, the last 2 episodes of Season 4. It's green, because it's like not an arc. Badass fight. Obviously, we get the new hero rankings, and then Endeavor and Hawks fight Hood right away. And that's a badass episode, probably a blue. However, it's a 2-episode arc, so I'll be generous and give it a green and not a yellow, because it's more established, but still. Like, these 2 episodes arc, we're really flirting with the word arc here. Joint Training, the start of Season 5, cyan. I like Joint Training, sue me. This is one of the, basically every season of MHA has, like, a serious Heroes versus Villains arc and then, like, a school arc. And usually the school arcs are obviously worse because it's more fillerish and just letting the characters breathe. But I think Joint Training is pretty awesome. We introduced Shinzo as a pro hero for the first time, and this is also our first time meeting Class 1B in depth. We've only really known Kendo, Tetsu, and Monoma. So meeting the rest of Class 1B, even though they're not that important, is really fun. And also, like the final exams, we get to see every single battle. And some of these battles are really fun. Especially Ida's round is really fun, and they cook with the animation for no reason. And then Bakugo's round is such an underrated moment of him just commanding the lead of Jiro, Sato, and Sero, and ending up beating Class 1B is awesome. And, of course, Shinzo's in 2 rounds, and Shinzo is one of my favorite characters, so I love to see him get the shine here. Joint Training, severely underrated. A lot of people hate Joint Training because Season 5 is just kind of in general, but I like Joint Training. I also like My Villain Academia, which is the other arc of Season 5, and it's interesting that both of the Season 5 arcs are in cyan, because I would consider Season 5 to be the worst season, but they have 2 highly ranked arcs. It's just not paced well as a season. But My Villain Academia is great. And another arc that I see a lot of people shit on, they're like, oh my god, My Villain Academia is so boring, why would I care about the villains? To that I say, I mean, you would want to care about the villains, because then when the heroes defeat them, it makes it better. But I don't know. The TikTok fans who hate My Villain Academia are weird. MVA is awesome. Tenko Shimura origin, we see Shigaraki's origin twice. Unleashes his full potential with Sad Man's Parade. Toga gets a quirk awakening. Like, there's a lot of shit happening here. Obviously, not great stuff because they cut a lot of the spinner stuff that's in the manga. The manga version of MVA is significantly better. However, I did forget about Endeavor Agency, which is also part of Season 5 and is the worst arc of the entire show, in my opinion. I do not like the Endeavor Agency. Nothing happens. It's really boring. Another Froppy filler episode is in this arc, and then we get Shoto, Bakugo, and Deku hanging around with Endeavor, and they fight ending, and it's whatever, and you forget all about this arc the second it's over. Moving on to Season 6, the Paranormal Liberation War, the first war arc. It's a Cyan. I have problems with this arc. I think it is not paced well. Again, I think pacing is an issue with My Hero in general. Like the fact that all of this content that you're seeing on the screen right now happens in 1 year. 1 year of their careers. I don't understand why they didn't space it out over their entire high school careers and they jammed all of this into 1 year. But that doesn't really, the pacing is bad. Dabi's dance is obviously a phenomenal part of this. Katsuki Bakugo rising as a moment is amazing. The episode, not so much. Sue me. That's a hot take. I don't think that episode is great. I think the moment is great at the end, but the entire episode as a whole, Momo and gang stopping Gigantomachia I fucking hate that section. It's so boring, and it does nothing for Momo because it's just the self-confidence struggles again that we should have fixed all the way back in the final exams arc when she was fighting Aizawa with Shoto. And she's still struggling with self-confidence issues even in Season 6. I don't understand why that section of the show is there. The stuff with Deku and Shigaraki fighting is good. Toga and Uraraka interacting is good. Dabi, Shoto, Endeavor, obviously anything with Dabi in the back half of the entire show is phenomenal. But some pacing issues, and then the Twice and Hawk stuff is also awesome. I forgot about that. That is amazing. But the Deku and Shigaraki stuff is kind of to me. And then Katsuki Bakugo Rising, not great episode, pacing, bad, whatever. Dark Hero arc, the end of Season 6, is a blue. I absolutely love this section of the show. Emo Deku, something I never thought I needed. Lady Nagant, phenomenal character, even though she's only in a couple of episodes. She gets established very well, and her quote-unquote death is actually it hits, even though it shouldn't because we met her 2 episodes ago. Great stuff for the entire class when they're saving Deku, and Ida being the one to save him is phenomenal. We get Ochako's speech right after this too. A lot of great character moments for a Deku-centric arc, and then the ending of the arc where All Might meets Stain and they have that conversation about right by the All Might statue is another phenomenal scene. So this arc is 7 or 8 episodes, but it is phenomenal for character work, and it sets up Final War and the other 2 mini arcs before Final War very well. Underrated as hell, in my opinion. Then we got Star and Stripe, which is completely fine. It's another 2-episode arc consisting of one fight, that being Shigaraki versus Star and Stripe, which is a good fight, and that's it. Moving on to UA Trader, also very good. Longer arc, it's 3 or 4 or 5 episodes. Or I don't think it's 5 episodes. It's 3 or 4. Great moments for Hagakure and Aoyama. Aoyama being revealed as the traitor does a lot for his character. It also does a lot for Hagakure, who figures out that Aoyama is the traitor. And I think it is a very good arc at just character work and setting up the final war that is about to happen pretty well. However, very short episode lengths. It's not really an arc. It's good, though. Final War is a blue. I understand that people would take issues with this and want a purple for Final War because Final War does a lot right. I have small problems, though, that keep it from being a 10 out of 10. Mainly with Deku and Shigaraki stuff, the fact that All For One kind of takes over Shigaraki at the end of the arc makes it a bit weaker for me. But pretty much everything else in this entire arc is phenomenal. Starting with Light Fades to Rain, Bakugo's death, and then him coming back and fighting All For One, which should have been the end of All For One. Deku versus Shigaraki at the start is very good, with Monoma and Aizawa outside trying to erase his quirks, and the big 3 are in there, and they each get a cool moment. Ochako versus Toga is incredible. Dabi Shoto and Endeavor stuff with the whole Todoroki family is incredible. Spinner and Shoji stuff is awesome, even though Shoji should have been more developed as a character before that, which is another small problem. The Final War balances a shit ton of characters, and it wraps up pretty much almost every single one of them phenomenally, except for maybe Shigaraki, in my opinion. So, pretty outstanding arc with like 2 or 3 nitpicks that keep it from being a purple. However, the final arc, the epilogue arc, which is the end of the show and like the bonus chapter, I think is a purple for sure. A lot of people are going to take issues with this, probably Baku Deku shippers the most, but I think the ending of MHA is phenomenal, and I couldn't have written it any better. The initial conclusion of Final War and seeing Dabi on his deathbed and Endeavor apologizing, and the Spinner Deku conversation is incredible. The Ochaku Deku conversation where Froppy cockblocks and comes in, Froppy sucks. That is great. And then the ending of the entire manga where they're all in the pose that you see on your screen is incredible. And then the bonus chapter makes everything so much better. All those Deku is a cuck memes and Deku works at McDonald's memes got put to shame. Ochako and Deku kind of becoming a thing, even though that was the shipper's worst nightmare. I think it's a fitting conclusion for their characters. We get to see everyone all grown up. It's awesome. It's a fantastic conclusion. It's 10 out of 10. No notes. Couldn't have done it better myself. This is the tier list. Now it's time for me to order the arcs. At the bottom, Endeavor Agency is last. Probably Provisional Hero License is really boring, and then the 2 non-arcs that are fine above. Green, Star and Stripe last. That fight is whatever. USJ, I think Pro Hero's at the top. That, USJ worse. That probably works out just fine. Cyan, joint training at the bottom for sure, then final exams. MVA, School Festival, First War at the top. All right, the Blues, Dark Hero at the bottom, then Overhaul, Intro, Sports Festival. Sports Festival is worse than Final War, and then Hideout Raid is the best. Epilogue is second best. So this is my official My Hero Academia arc ranking. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down below, and let me know down below what your favorite My Hero Academia arc is. Like, comment, and subscribe for more anime content like this. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day.